Hey everyone, this is Kiri with Healthfully Rooted Home, and today I want to give you some of my favorite habits for calm homemaking. So I'm going to go through some of my favorite things, and then I'm going to go through some troubleshooting tips in case you are in a season where things aren't so calm. So let's just get started with the habits. And these habits are like preventative measures to make sure that your homemaking is just in general more calm. And then, like I said, towards the end, I will tell you some troubleshooting tips. My first one is to stay home more. It's very simple. Sometimes there are seasons where you just need to be home more. And I find that whenever I'm stressed about getting the housework done or chores or just simple duties that I have to do every day, I find that that's usually because I'm leaving too much for that season. So maybe I'm not leaving more than I usually do, but for whatever reason in that season, I need to be home more. So this gives you more time to get stuff done, but it also gives you time to do things that bring you joy. Like right now, I'm making a simmer pot. And a simmer pot, if you don't know, you just put it on the stove, a bunch of ingredients like aromatics, like star anise and ginger and oranges, and you put them in water and you let it simmer on the stove. And you just let it make your house smell really good. It smells really good, and it's cheap and simple, and it's a non-toxic way to make your house smell good. And then also it's really good for the humidity in your home. Right now it's winter here, so we have the heat on a lot and it makes our house so dry. And so these simmer pots really help to add more humidity into your air, and yeah, they're just a nice little touch to make your house smell good. So I just used things I had in my fridge. I had some ginger that was looking a little sad and shriveled, and I had some star anise on hand and an orange. So that's what I did for my simmer pot today. But another reason to stay home more in certain seasons is you have more time together with your family, just with no agenda. You're just together in the same home doing whatever you do. And that can be a really, really beautiful thing. Another thing is when you're home, you're able to cook more healthfully. You're able to make more things from scratch and, just spend more time preparing your meals. Okay, one of the biggest things that helps me with calm homemaking is getting outside in the morning as early as the sun comes up and getting that sunlight on my eyes. I know that there's science behind this, but there is just something that can totally set up my day for success, but it also gives me more energy throughout the day. And what I do during that time, as I'm sitting there getting the sunlight on my eyes, is I'm usually cuddling one or both of my kids, and I'm just praying and I'm telling God everything I'm grateful for. And I'm not a big journaler. I actually really do not like sitting down and writing in a journal, but I can just sit and talk to God, just like I'm talking to a friend, but I can just list off all the things I'm grateful for to God. Rather than like writing them in a journal. To each their own, but this has been so profound for me. So I highly recommend doing that. Another thing is making sure that you get electrolytes. This is a very practical tip, but making sure you get some electrolytes in once or twice a day. A lot of people, drink all this water and they're just flushing their body of all the electrolytes that it needs. And so the way that I make sure that I, number one, stay hydrated, but also keep my minerals in check is I have a little mixture of cream of tartar, which is potassium, and sea salt. And I just take that twice a day. Just drink that with water. I don't put the mixture in water because I don't like the taste of salt water, but I just will take a pinch of that and put it directly in my mouth with water and then just swallow it. So anyways, it's a very practical tip. Also, right here, I am making a sweet loaf recipe. If you watched one of my previous videos, my pantry mixes video where I prep a bunch of pantry mixes, this is one of those mixes. It's my sweet bread mix. So all the dry ingredients were already prepared and put in the pantry. And then all I had to do was prepare the wet ingredients. And I am turning this sweet bread loaf into cranberry orange. And it is so good. I will give you a spoiler alert. I put way too much batter in. I was using a kind of small loaf pan, so I put too much batter in a loaf pan that was too small, and it ended up sinking, which is pretty hilarious. At the end, you'll see. But it was delicious nonetheless, and it was so quick. I don't know how long it took me, but it couldn't have taken me more than 5-10 minutes hands-on time, because I had it all prepared. So I do recommend going and watching that video. I prep all kinds of things for the pantry, like dry mixes and things like that. Another very practical tip is to start cooking dinner way earlier than you think you need to. So our dinner is at 6 o'clock every night, and I found that if I start cooking dinner at 3 o'clock, which seems like plenty of time, it's just nowhere near enough time because I have children. So keep that in mind too. I have children, and if you have children, these tips are really going to be helpful, but they're going to be helpful if you don't have kids too. But start cooking dinner like first thing in the morning. Always be thinking about dinner, always be making sure that you are having something going for dinner. So never have any idle time. Just always be working on dinner, and then by the time dinner time hits, you'll have something to put on the table. The next thing is to declutter. And I mean, like, be ruthless about it. If you are in a season where things just aren't very calm, make sure your house is decluttered. That's a good way to prevent chaos, but sometimes you have to be ruthless about it. I don't know if you've noticed, but I used to have an island behind me in the middle of the kitchen, and it was way too big for our kitchen, but it gave me like an entire extra cabinet and huge drawer space. And but it was just a huge stressor because we were constantly bumping into it and the kids were getting hurt by it. So I found new spots for all my stuff that I had in there, and life is so much better without that thing. So anyways, declutter. Okay, my next tip is to create luxury anchors. This is maybe my favorite tip. Luxury anchors. I don't know, it's a term that I made up, but it's times in the day where you can look forward to a little bit of rest or some kind of luxury in your day. And I find that at least 3 of these anchors is ideal. And so I'll just give you a few examples, but this is really a little project for you to think about, and how it'll fit into your own life and your own routine, and whatever makes you happy. But the first thing you need to do is make a list of all the little luxuries, that just things that are like self-care things that you enjoy doing. It could be, going and working out, or it could be, if you don't like working out, I wouldn't suggest, that being one of your anchors, but maybe it's like having a treat while you read a book, or I don't know. You make a list of all the little things, and just things that take anywhere from like 5-10 minutes all the way up to like an hour. And then make a list of all the times in the day that you have where you could plug these things in. And sometimes you might have to fight for it. So if you have children, sometimes you might need to train your children to play independently. Or, I don't know, you're going to have to figure that out on your own. But I guarantee you can find 5-10 minutes 3 times a day to plug in some of these luxury anchors. One of mine is morning Bible time with coffee before my kids get up. If you have kids that wake up super early, number 1, I'm so sorry. That's so hard. But number 2, maybe train your kids in that time to rest and read a book, or play with toys quietly, or get out the pack and play and have your, little ones just play in the pack and play while you read your Bible. So like I said, you might need to fight for it. Another tip for calm homemaking is to get dressed for the day. And this sounds completely irrelevant, but hear me out. I heard this little story that Elizabeth Elliot was telling in one of her talks. And she was saying that she had this gal who was coming to her who was so stressed. You know, her kids were wild and crazy. She would act wild and crazy. And it was just a mess. Just, it was not calm in her home. It was not a good place to be. And Elizabeth asked her if she got up and dressed for the day. She said no, she doesn't have time. She stays in her jammies all day. And Elizabeth Elliot said, and I might be butchering this story, but she said, well, my suggestion is to wake up 10 minutes earlier than your kids or than you are right now, get dressed for the day, make yourself look nice. And then she goes, because if you look like a wild witch, you're going to act like a wild witch. And she said it totally changed this lady's life. She wrote back and said, oh my word, this just getting dressed for the day has totally changed the tone of my home. So get dressed for the day. I don't always wear dresses. I don't always put makeup on. I definitely don't always do my hair. But on the days that I do, I feel great. I feel like I look like I'm ready to take on the day. And so then I do the things that I need to do that day to set myself up for success. So then the next tip is to systematize your home. So I come from the corporate world, and there's a term called lean, Lean. And basically it means to trim off any fat in your routine. So any inefficiencies that are in your routine, you need to figure out a way to trim all of that down. So get rid of any unnecessary task and figure out ways that you can organize tasks so that it makes the most sense. So systematize your home. For example, my laundry routine. You just saw me folding laundry. This has been a game changer for me. I have a new routine so I've always been a one load a day girl. One load a day keeps the piles away. I love that routine. It just works for me. But I was having trouble because I would start it in the morning. I would start the laundry in the morning and then, all throughout the day, finish it off. But I would forget to start it first thing in the morning and I would get distracted by something else. And so then I discovered, and you should look at your washing machine because if you have a newer one, yours probably has this too. But I discovered that my washing machine has delay start. So do you know how your dishwasher, if you have a dishwasher that has delay start, that's amazing. But my laundry machine my washing machine has that too. And so, then at night, I don't know why this is helpful because I always remember at night. But anyways, at night, I just throw everything in the washing machine. I delay start. And then if I need to add anything else, I throw it in there. And then in the morning, it's already done and I just need to switch it over. It's so amazing. So I seriously have laundry done, folded, put away by early afternoon. Sometimes early in the morning before afternoon. So find ways to systematize your home. Okay, the next tip is to get outside, rain or shine. There is something about fresh air that is so healing for us. So I recommend doing something active outside. Going for walks is great. The kids love it. And there's something just so nourishing about being outside in that fresh air. My next tip for calm homemaking is to meal plan and prep. So this is only for those of you where meals are a stressor for you. If you don't meal plan or you have a meal plan routine that is working perfectly for you, then you just keep doing that. But if it's a stressor for you, maybe you need to change up how you meal plan and or meal prep. So I love meal planning. I plan my meals out for 6 months at a time, and I have videos on how I do this. I also sell my own 6-month meal plans, and there's always a link in my videos for those. But that really helps because I just have to plan basically twice a year, and then I have seasonably appropriate meals for 6 months at a time. And it's great. It really works for me. But then also I meal prep. I spend typically a couple hours per week meal prepping something, whether it's breakfasts for the week or just components of meals for the week. Maybe I'll prep the grains that we're having that week, or I'll chop all the veggies or something like that. But if you can find a couple hours where you can just shave off some time from your daily meal prep, that will be a huge stress reliever for you. Okay, and so here are some troubleshooting tips for you. So I always start with diet. Whenever I'm troubleshooting something that's not working, it's usually with, something that has to do with me, right? Because that's the only thing we can ever change anyway. So if I'm like not calm or just going through a season of stress, I'm always looking to my diet first. Is there something off? Am I not eating well? Do I have too much sugar in my diet? Am I not getting enough protein? Am I just simply not eating enough? And so I start from there. Also, another thing to think about too with eating is, are you giving thanks for your food? I've recently realized this, that I'm not giving thanks for my food except for dinner when we eat as a family. But I need to be doing this for every meal. And so I think that can be a huge help too, is just showing gratitude for your food and to the Lord for providing that food for you. But yeah, are you eating healthy, whole foods, getting enough protein? People do not realize how much protein we need. We need like 80 to 100 grams of protein. And that's me personally. Okay, I'm laughing here in this video because I see that my loaf cake had just completely sunken in. So you'll see here in a second. Another thing to look at is allergies. Do you have any sort of allergies that are going on that could be affecting your mood? And I just recently realized that, actually, I've always known that I have a dairy allergy. I've taken a blood test for it, and it's just something that I've thought that I need to cut out when I'm nursing because it really affects my babies. But I've always just incorporated it back into my diet after I was done nursing, not realizing how it was affecting me physically and emotionally. And yeah, it is crazy discovery. I might do another video on this, but I realized dairy makes me depressed, literally depressed, which is so crazy. But if you look into it, that's actually a thing. So maybe look into any allergies you may have, food intolerances. And then another thing to look at too with troubleshooting is, are you out of alignment with the Lord's will for your life? Or are you walking in disobedience in some way? Of course, I can't tell you if you're doing that. That's something that you need to be honest with yourself and to be very prayerful about. But if that is the case, I can tell you right now, you are not going to be calm because God has fruit for you when you are walking in obedience and when you are in alignment with His will for your life. And He wants that for you. So I just recommend being very prayerful about that, and then maybe changing some things up so that you are in the Lord's will for your life. Okay, well, thank you. That's all I have for you today on tips for calm homemaking. This is one of my luxury anchors. I love just having a little treat every once in a while and then reading a book. And so I hope you have fun finding those little luxury anchors for your life, and happy and calm homemaking to you. Thanks for watching.